where they focus their details. Whereas any parent without guilty knowledge, any innocent parent, is going to focus upon the child. Now, when I say innocent, I mean a de facto innocence, not a judicial innocence. People are innocent until proven guilty in a court of law in the United States. What I mean by innocent is the de facto or in fact innocence. They have no guilty knowledge of what happened to their missing child. Mm-hmm. That type of innocence. So right. It's important to...
Yes, I understand that. Now, you run a blog, Peter, where a lot of this statement analysis subject is discussed. Can you put everything on there, all of your professional cases, or are you limited as to what you can write on the blog?
Yeah, the blog is only cases that I'm not professionally involved in. So the most fascinating cases never reach the blog. The blog is also a tool of advertising for my business. The blog catches the attention of investigators and who say, oh, I'd like to study that more in depth. Most of them have had some training in their academies. Some were privileged to go on to the FBI's National Academy where they learned deception detection. But what I produce on the blog is short summaries, not in-depth analysis. It would take far too long to explain some of the things there. Mm-hmm. On the case of missing Madeleine McCann, I didn't cover it a great deal. It fascinated me, but I didn't cover a great deal because it seemed that it was saturated with coverage. Mm-hmm. And when something becomes that heavily covered, I generally move on to something else. And so I put a general analysis on the blog about it, but really in the interview, there's much more there than... much more in the content of the analysis than is on the blog.
So this was an interview that the McCANNS did in 2011, and I think it was on Australian television. And you did an analysis of that interview, of what they said in that interview, of their statements. So you transcribed the interview first, and then you've put your analysis on the blog. So why did you choose that particular one? Was there any reason, or was it just the first one you came across? Was there any reason why you chose that one? Because they've done a lot of interviews.
Yeah, this was one that someone sent the transcripts to me.
Right.
Transcription services is expensive and it's time consuming. I can't do that. I can't go that. So there are people that are associated with the blog who will send trusted transcribed interviews to me. And I have to make a decision at any given time, what do I have enough time to go into? Mm-hmm. I also have to weigh in is that if I get involved with this and law enforcement sees it and contacts me, I've got to delete it and try to assist them.
Sorry, you have to delete that. Why would you have to delete it? You mean on that case if they get in touch with you?
On any given case, if law enforcement requests that it not be there, that it could hinder the investigation, I take it down.
Oh, I see. So let's say that people who were investigating the Madeleine case weren't happy with that and asked you to take it down, right? I see.
Yeah. Or if and this has happened before too, is where a police department will say, I saw your analysis, it's really good, could you help me on this case? I delete it, because I can't comment on something that's going to be adjudicated.
Right.
I don't ever want to interfere with justice. Justice comes before anything else.
Right. And before we do some analysis on this interview, because you've reappraised it, is that right to say that this 2011 interview, you've done more detailed analysis on it, is that?
Yes, my conclusion hasn't changed, my general conclusion hasn't changed, but what I've done is more intense analysis, and there's several reasons for that. One of the reasons is your interest. Your interest is a professional interest here that is deeper than just an average person reading an article. You'd like to know the truth and in detail, and so I can give you some of the details. But there's also something else, and this really applies to so much else in life as well, is when we do analysis of a case and we review the analysis later on, we generally will pick up a little bit here, a little bit there that we may have missed or didn't focus upon. When we reanalyze something from what we call disparate eyes, from a mind that has moved on to other things, it is called the 40% rule. The same content may yield 40% more information. Mm-hmm. And it's it's quite practical in the sense that your mind goes on a scent. You pick up a scent and you follow it. And once you follow it to completion, you've got a good portrait. When you look at it again, maybe a month later, you don't have that same scent. And you say, oh, I need to focus a little more on something else here now. And that yields more and more content. Then you can take it and hand it to another trained analyst who now brings in more information. And so, although it doesn't change the conclusion, it enhances the analysis itself. We're literally entering into the perception of reality from the speaker.
Before you tell us your analysis on this interview, just want to mention the legal aspects of this. This is opinion. Yeah, there's no statement of innocence or guilt. Is that, just tell us what an analysis is in those terms.
Yeah, this is, we call it presuppositional thinking. We go into a statement presupposing an opinion. Now, when someone speaks publicly, there is an expectation that is presupposed. You're either going to believe me or you're not. And the public, we have a right to say, I believe what they're telling me, I don't believe what they're telling me. It is just my opinion. If I say I believe someone or I don't believe someone, as a statement analyst, it's my opinion and here's why I have this opinion. So I'm able to explain why. Now, this is not, it sounds like a moral exercise. It's not. When someone speaks, we presuppose that everything they're telling us is the truth. We actually go into the analysis believing everything they said, unless they talk us out of it. If they talk us out of it, not only are we able to pick up that they are deceiving us, but the words that they chose in deceiving us can often reveal what happened. And that's what I believe is the case we're going to look at.
But because the analysis is your opinion, you've not had any legal issues from subjects that you've done analysis on in the past, just to ask that question.
Well, I've had some complaints. Representative Anthony Weiner from New York was upset several years ago about my analysis. He had been sexting, sending sexual pictures to people from his phone, and he claimed that it wasn't him doing it. Oh. And so I had received a complaint from them, and I said, number one, it's my opinion. Number two, I'll take it down when he tells the truth. Right. And since then, it's
okay.
Yeah,
and you're confident, because you obviously understand why I'm asking that question, don't you? Yeah, but you're confident that because it's opinion, it's absolutely fine to say, and there's no ramifications.
Yeah, unless someone has been convicted in a court of law, they are judicially innocent, and we have an opinion whether we believe that's accurate or not. However, because of what I do for a living, my opinion has consequences. So if I am able to go through an entire interview like the McCANNS gave and make a conclusion, it's going to impact my ability to provide for my family. So anyone can have an opinion that's perfectly appropriate. It's legal to have an opinion. If I have an opinion, I can say anywhere between 10% to 100% certainty of my opinion. There's something on the line there for me. If I am wrong, law enforcement is not likely to hire me to work for them.
Right.
But first, for 4 years, Kate and Jerry McCann have lived a never-ending ordeal, and they still don't know when or if it'll ever end. It began on a family holiday in Portugal when Madeline, their 4-year-old daughter, simply vanished. She hasn't been seen since. Tonight, the mystery deepens. You're about to see home video never shown before and learn the vital clue Madeline left behind. Here's Ronnie Sadler.
Okay, spin around, darling. Right round. Oh, yes, I can see your wings.
It's a big smile.
Oh, yes. One more, big smile. That's pretty.
She was an incredibly beautiful baby, actually.
You sound like the most biased parent on the planet now, but she was just really compact and just a really kind of nice, round, perfect head, and you know, and then she opened her mouth and the whole world knew she was with us.
This would not be considered a blatant past tense use of the verb was. Here she says, she was incredibly beautiful baby, actually. one could argue that she, at age 3, she's no longer a baby, and that they are referring to a period of when she was born, and that would be an appropriate use of the past tense. So I don't assign to this a red flag because of the context. It does concern me at this point, it's just a little bit of alarm now, that in an interview of a missing child, they're talking about her in the past tense. I expect some form of follow-up that will be in the present tense. A single slip into past tense is an indicator of belief or knowledge that the child is deceased. And that's what's concerning about that. But there are also some other things that are there that aren't any major blaring red flags, but as they build point after point, they become concerning. One of the things is this: parents of missing children who show guilty knowledge of what happened to the child will often find a subtle way of insulting the child, insulting the victim, blaming the victim, disparaging the victim. When someone is missing, like or when a child is deceased, we call it the angelic view. The child is elevated beyond any normal child. Everything is wonderful. And we hear the subtle disparagement in guilty parents. Casey Anthony actually called her little daughter a name, a derogatory name. In shaken baby syndrome cases, the baby wouldn't stop crying as if it was the baby's fault. The baby wouldn't take her formula as if the baby was at fault. And what that is, in guilty statements, within human nature, there is some drive to justify what happened, to clear oneself. So I don't like several things about this. I don't like a past tense reference without following up present tense. It continued there, and we have a praising of the baby that I do like, and then when she opened her mouth, the whole world knew she was with us, is a subtle way of saying that she was really loud. I'm not sure that sounds like praise. I have 6 children. I have 2 grandchildren, and I listen to the words of parents regularly. And given the setting of an interview where the child is missing, it's not something I expected to hear. Mm-hmm. Now, it's not a point I'm going to hang my hat on, but I've been called to the attention now that maybe Madeline was a little bit loud for them. It's a really strange place to be giving even a small complaint.
She had McCann level volume, there's no doubt about that.
Clap your hands together. 1, 2, 3.
Yay, well done. Okay, let's sing another one.
I always wanted to be a mother. I don't know, if maybe that stemmed from being an only child and sort of, wanting that feeling of family.
Madeline was the daughter Kate and Jerry McCann always wanted. For years, Kate struggled to fall pregnant, so when Madeline came along, they felt blessed. They loved to photograph her, and she loved being photographed. This is the last picture of Madeline, taken 7 hours before she disappeared.
There's a photo of her that afternoon that was taken at 2:29, I think, because we've got it on the digital camera. And she was just sitting by the pool with myself, and we've both got our feet just paddling, and she is so happy.
I am concerned, again lightly, but it is increasing, and here's why. They're speaking in terms of nostalgia. This is what we do when a child is not coming back. They are waxing nostalgic about a child that's missing. And this is going to become, right now, a very minor point, is going to become a major red flag for deception. If you were able to put yourself into their shoes, which is what we always do, put yourself in the shoes, what would you be like? What would you be like if your child was missing? And this is what is terribly missing from the interview. Statement analysis deals with what one tells us. It also deals with what one doesn't tell us. When parents of missing children have no involvement or no guilty knowledge of what happened to the child, their focus is on what the child is experiencing now. Does she have her favorite blankie? Does she have her teddy bear? Is someone looking at her warm smile? Are they kissing her? Is she scared at night? They are consumed by these thoughts. These people are speaking as if they have already processed something, which is her death.
It's been 1,543 days since Madeleine McCann vanished. To keep Madeleine's case alive, this private couple has revealed more of themselves than ever before. Kate and Jerry are both doctors. They married in 1998 and in 2001, after 3 years of failing to conceive naturally, they began IVF. 18 months later, on the eve of another hospital appointment, Kate did a home pregnancy test.
A little line appeared on the test. You know, I'm a doctor and it says on the box any kind of line is a positive, but I was like, oh, I'm not sure. But there was that faint kind of...
Showed its me and I'm like, it's definitely.
It's definitely.
No question.
And obviously we had a scan and there was a little beating heart and that was our little Madeleine, you know, so...
Who's that present for?
That's for Auntie Claire.
Are we going to post it today?
No.
We are.
There's a letter.
Who says
Uh-huh.
Say yes, Daddy.
Yes, Daddy.
Okay.
And then, in May 2003, 3 became 5.
When she first saw the twins, she was just ecstatic. Absolutely ecstatic.
Oh, we took a very big tonics. Santa must have bring all these toys. Alice.
Felt blessed, really, at that time.
You say the family felt really complete.
You know, we did feel incredibly lucky.
In late April 2007, the McCanns decided to travel to Portugal for a family holiday. In the pink pants climbing the stairs to the plane is Madeleine.
Oopsie, you all right?
It was the McCanns' first overseas holiday as a family, and they went with 3 other couples.
Cheer up, Jerry, we're on holiday.
It's a small resort. It was out of season, end of April, beginning of May, and it was incredibly quiet. We felt very relaxed there, very relaxed.
A couple things about that is we like to hear people speak for themselves how they felt, not for we. Then we look at anything that's repeated. So we have the word relaxed, repeated. We have the word very repeated. So very relaxed, and not for himself, Jerry, but for both of them speaking. Okay. So if they're speaking together, that's appropriate. They're now speaking. He's now speaking of their emotion together, and that's not always so usual. And they are telling us how very relaxed they are. This is narrative storytelling. This is setting a scenario. We call it the normal factor. If you take a 7-year-old child and you say to the child, once upon a time, on a day that was just like every other day, the child will sit up knowing that what's about to happen was unlike any other day. Mm-hmm. That's called the normal factor. If someone says, I'm a normal man, what they're saying to you is either they themselves or someone else has said, you're not normal. Okay? It's unnecessary. Well, here, what we call this as a need to persuade that this was a normal day is telling us he knows it's anything but. Mm-hmm. That's storytelling. That's when those in law enforcement will say, I feel like they're storytelling. They're actually narrative building. They're bringing your emotions into an account. Instead of saying, my daughter's missing. I don't know what she's experiencing. I don't know who she's looking at. I don't know if they're giving her medicine. With that urgency, not only did they wax nostalgic, but now they're allowing you to enter into their emotions, and I want you to make sure that you understand my emotions were very relaxed. So at some point you say, wow, you sure seem to need to convince me that it was a normal, relaxing day. Why do you have to convince me of that?
In the evening, the children were put to bed by 7:30, before the adults had dinner together down at the pool. From where they ate, Kate and Jerry could see the back of their apartment and left the door unlocked.
If you measure it directly from the back of the apartment as a straight line to where we're dining, it's only 50 metres.
50 metres.
That's a direct line now.
49.4 on Google if you want to be really specific.
Okay, now one would say in defense of them is that, hey, they've been accused of neglect. And they're defending themselves, so much to the point that Kate went online and Googled it and found out exactly the distance that it was away. There's a problem with that, however. She's missing. I expect them to talk about not defense of themselves, but concern for her right now, at this moment of the interview. It's not there. Statement analysis deals with what one says and what one doesn't say. Now we're being given a lot of detail about the distance. Before I was given a lot of detail about what Madeline was like. I've not heard yet a single detail about what Madeline is experiencing in the hands of strangers.
But the proximity was very close.
This is insightful because, first of all, the word but will refute what just preceded it or minimize what preceded it. But this is insightful. I simply ask a listener to answer this question for me. Who are they most concerned about? Are they most concerned about Madeline or about themselves? How can they not be concerned about Madeline? How could they even care? They should be really accusing themselves of neglect. The fact that they don't accuse themselves of neglect but are justifying themselves tells you something else. Not only do we not have concern for Madeline, we have concern for self. Why would you be concerned for self?
Madeline and the twins slept in a room at the front of Villa 5A. Kate and Jerry believed their shuttered bedroom window, overlooking the car park and street, was closed and locked. Every half an hour, the parents would take turns to check on each other's children.
We thought that was the best thing, and it seemed to work absolutely fine. And